Today's daily number, 50 basis points, or 0.5%. That's what Fed Chairman Jerome Powell said today, that he might just increase interest rates by 50 basis points if needed. But we'll talk about that a little bit more today in our show. As always, I'm Kamari Ellis. This is the Finance Rebel Show. This is the daily number segment of the Finance Rebel Show. On this channel and on this show, we talk about all things money, wealth, business, taxes, stocks. If it's about money, it's on the table, right? The whole idea for this show is to help increase the financial IQs of people in the Black community. And we do that by talking about money daily, right? So we talk about money every day. All right. And so in today's show, we're going to do our stock market rundown, Ukraine, Russia updates, talk about the Fed Reserve potential 50 basis points increase if needed, Black Captain America buying 20 acres of land, and the new Supreme Court nomination updates as well. But as we get into it, let's get right into our market rundown. And we will talk about this today. So the markets were basically flat today, right? Not too much up, not too much down. It was a flat day. So we saw that coming. S&P, based on the S&P 500, right? However, S&P 500 is still down year to date 6.4%. So still got some ground to cover, still not doing super duper well, but it's not as bad as it was. Now, it was funny because when the Fed chairman was talking earlier today, the whole market just took a dive, took a crash. I can never forget when I was institutional working, meaning that I used to trade money on the stock market, that anytime who was it, Greenspan at the time, anytime Greenspan would do his press conferences, the markets would always tank. Sometimes they would come back a little bit. Sometimes they would stay down and go into the next day. But nevertheless, it still happens. Anytime the Fed chair gets up and talks, it's going to be something that is going to impact the markets. And they try not to give too much sway or too much information, but it's bound to happen. Now, crude oil was up 113, WTI, Western Texas Intermediate oil was up $113, almost $114. Crude, or why do I keep saying crude, y'all? WTI. WTI is up year to date 50%, almost 51%. So oil's still chugging along. Gas prices are still getting everybody in a headlock, especially our pocketbooks and our wallets. So it's getting rough out there. I'm seeing a lot of jokes on the interwebs about how bad gas prices are right now. And I expect the jokes to continue rolling through. That's just what we do when the tough get going. All right. Gold closed today at $1,930. So it's still below that $2,000 mark, but it's still up there. All right, gold's still up 5.4%. So it's still doing some things. Now, Bitcoin closed today at 41,174. Bitcoin is tracking the markets, tracking the S&P 500. So Bitcoin is still down year to date, just like the S&P 500. It's down roughly 11%, almost 12%, heading its way to 12%. But we'll see. We know, just like with anything else, Bitcoin is so volatile that it will be down one day and then up 20% the next. So anything could happen with Bitcoin. Anything could happen. Now, as promised, I wanted to talk about this 50 basis point increase, or this 0.5 percentage point potential increase, right? So Chairman Powell, check out that tongue twister. Chairman Powell said today, while he was speaking at a conference, it was a Home Business Economics Conference, or National Association for Business Economics, said that Fed Reserve will consider more aggressive interest rate increases to reduce inflation. Now, last week, they just increased 25 basis points, or 0.25%. They just increased last week. Today, they're saying that it might not have been enough. Now, if y'all been rocking with me for a minute, I've been said it's not enough. There should be much more. They should have done at least a 25 percentage point increase 6 months to a year ago. And they probably should have done a 50 basis point increase this last go round. But They're a little slow. They're a little sluggish. Not sure why. Well, I know why. They don't want to spook the markets, right? They don't want to. They don't want to scare the markets. They don't want the markets to basically go into free fall based on what the Fed Reserve says. But they are way behind on inflation. Way behind on inflation, and it's going to take at least a year for anything to really catch up. Now, there were a couple interesting comments that he had, and I'll share with you here. So, Fed Reserve Chairman, why am I messing up his name today, y'all? Fed Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said the central bank was prepared to raise interest rates in half percentage point steps and have enough to deliberately slow the economy if it concluded such steps were warranted to bring back inflation. If we think it's appropriate to raise by half points at a meeting or meetings, we will do so, Mr. Powell said during the moderated discussion at their speech on Monday before the National Association for Business Economics in Washington. Now, that's kind of unprecedented because the Fed only moves in quarter interest rate increments or 25 basis point increments. So that is a little unprecedented. However, it's been done before. It's not new, but for the last like 20 some odd years, it hasn't been done. It's only been 25 basis point movements because they like to move slow. And by the language I was just sharing with you that he used today, again, the Fed Reserve is never trying to give up too much. It's always vague. It's always lukewarm. It's never hot. It's never cold. It's like always right in the middle. Like always right in the middle. All right. So I wanted to show a piece of what he was saying today, just so you can get a little bit of the flavor of it all. So here, and let me guess, you guys probably can't hear that because I didn't click the button. So let me click the button. Let me click the button. Here we go, y'all. I got it this time. So y'all heard it, right? Again, very lukewarmish, not too hot, not too cold, saying that they stand ready to fire the trigger if they need to combat inflation. But you know what I say? They're way late. They're way late, and they should have been pulled the trigger on increasing the interest rates. Now, the other thing that the Fed is doing is not just increasing interest rates. That's the popular thing that they're doing. The other thing that they're doing behind the scenes is they're also what they call tapering down their balance sheet or reducing their bond buying. So they're not buying as many mortgage-backed securities to keep the mortgage market nice and flush and flowing with cash, right? So that's also going to have an impact on the mortgage markets, which we're already seeing because mortgage rates have hit well above 4.5%. Some reports are saying 4. I've seen 4.5%, 4.6%, even some reports are 4.7%. So if mortgage rates keep going up, what do you think is going to happen to the housing market? I predict that the housing market's going to slow down. Not going to totally cool off, but I definitely think it's going to slow down, and it's not going to run as hot as it has been running in the past. All right. So keep an eye out for that because I think it's going to be very, very interesting. All right. So listen, Black Captain America. Y'all might not know who Black Captain America is because the white Captain America is gone. Black Captain America is now Anthony Mackie, right? So he's taking over. If you don't keep up to date on any of the Marvel movies, you will know that Captain America is now black. But it's just reported that he brought 20 acres of land to open a studio in his hometown of New Orleans. Now, clearly, he is taking cues from Tyler Perry, but this runs in the family. So not only is Mackie doing this, right? His brother, who is a doctor, has been buying up land in New Orleans, and they both have pledged to make sure that New Orleans comes back to get the restore and the level of precedence that it once had at one time. So this is a good thing. I'm always glad to see Black folks buying stuff, buying positive assets or accumulating assets, so to speak. But this will be a good thing. I mean, because if Mackie can do anything close to what Tyler's done, many people don't realize this, but Black Panther was filmed in Tyler Perry Studios. A lot of Marvel movies were filmed at Tyler Perry Studios. So it would be likely to say that maybe Anthony Mackie could vie for some of those projects as well. And that could be a good thing. Now, I don't know where everybody's been today. I don't know if you've been watching it, but today was the very, very first day for the Supreme Court nomination hearings of Ketanji Brown Jackson. I'm going to call her Supreme Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson because I expect her to get nominated on the Supreme Court. I don't see why that would be an issue. But I watched a little bit of it today. Some of the shenanigans that happened were expected, that I expected did happen. The Republicans are being staunch as always being a pain in the butt as always. But everything kind of went well, in my opinion. The Democrats are putting on a full court. I'm really messing up my words today, y'all. The Republicans are putting on a full court press. But she was lovely. She looked well, spoke well. And the Republicans were a little bit more tame today. So, but I did find it interesting when I was watching some of the commentary. Some of it, I didn't get to watch all of it, but again, it was interesting. But there was a couple of takeaways I wanted to talk about. And so during her opening statement, Jackson thanks God and her family for the support and assured senators that she takes her duty to be independent very seriously. All right. I decide cases from a neutral posture, she said. I evaluate the facts and I interpret and apply the law to the facts of the case before me without fear or fervor, consistent with my judicial oath, Jackson added. Now, the reason why that's so important is because a lot of the Republicans have been saying, well, I don't know if she's a constitutionalist. She kind of likes to freestyle. Some of the other things they were saying is that she's soft on crime because she has played a major part in repealing those stupid crack cocaine laws that were on the books many, many years ago. So here's a couple other excerpts that I thought were really interesting. So Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Dick Durbin's opening statements emphasized this, right? Not a single justice has been a Black woman. You, Judge Jackson, can be the first. Durbin said, it's not easy being the first. Often you have to be the best, in some ways the bravest. Many are not prepared to face that kind of heat, that kind of scrutiny, that ordeal in the glare of the national spotlight, he added, right? So, and then he added a few more, there was a few more points added that I thought were interesting. Now, Amy Klobuchar, she's an interesting lady, to say the least, had a couple things to say, right? She said that the court must be able to see the real people at the other end of the rulings, she said during her opening statement. Like Americans who are one Supreme Court decision away from losing their health insurance, one Supreme Court decision away. So that just goes to show just how important politics is, not just for rich people, but for also poor folks as well. All right. Or one decision away from the ability to make their own healthcare choices. And so if you haven't been paying attention, Texas has been putting a lot of books, a lot of laws on the books about women's rights, women's health, women's bodies. So now there were a couple other comments that I thought were really interesting. I think it was Grassley that made some comments about dark money. And if you're not familiar with dark money, they're talking about pools of money for people who don't have to disclose who they are. But the funny thing is the Republicans really push for dark money and the ability to craft dark money in political races, but they're complaining about it. So again, I find it interesting. And of course, the Republicans kept trying to bring up Kavanaugh and how it was a big disturbance and everything else. So I'm expecting some pushback from the Republicans, but the Dems have it. They have the Senate, right? It's tied. Plus with the VP, Kamala Harris, who played a major role in getting Judge Jackson to the table that is. So I don't think it'll be an issue getting her passed. But they're going to try to bang her on being soft on crime and not being a constitutionalist. So this is going to be interesting, to say the least. And you know what? I forgot to mention our Ukraine-Russia update, right? So Russia is still continuing to bomb Ukraine. But one thing that's really interesting, the United States is going to send back to Ukraine some Soviet-era air defense systems that it took from Russia decades ago. So basically, they're going to give the Ukraine Russia missiles to fight Russia with, which, again, it's kind of interesting, right? Politics is never black and white. So listen, the other day I forgot to do the affirmation today, but I will not forget it today. And our affirmation of the day is I'm proud of myself for showing up, right? A lot of times you might get butterflies. You might not want to do a thing, especially if it's a hard thing, but you make up your mind and you say, you know what, I'm going to show up and I'm going to do this thing. So remember, be proud of yourself because you showed up, right? It shows effort. It shows integrity. It shows stick-to-itiveness. Be proud that you showed up, all right? Now, make sure y'all carry these positive words with y'all in your hearts, your minds, and your tongues, right? Because the power of life and death lies in your tongue. So make sure you're putting positive vibes out to the universe, y'all. All right, so as always, we recapped our stock market. We did our Ukraine update. It's a little out of order. We talked about the 50 basis point potential rise by the Fed Reserve. We talked about Black Captain America, a.k.a. Anthony Mackie, buying 20 acres of land in his hometown of New Orleans. And we talked about Judge Jackson being the first Black woman to sit for Supreme Court nominations ever. Hopefully she will be nominated. Hopefully it won't just be sitting for nominations. Hopefully she will be nominated. All right. Until the next time, I'm always happy that you all take the time to watch me. I'm always humbled that you're here. I'm humbled by your presence. Continue to be great. Always move in love and always continue to seek the light. Until the next time, I'm Kamari Ellis. If you like these shows, if you appreciate these daily briefings, drop me a like, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. All right. I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.